Hey guys, this is Dan at Dan's Auto Body, also known as Dan's Dips. Today we're going to be making some videos on how to properly mask the vehicle before you plasti dip, and then we're going to show you the videos on how to also paint the vehicles with the right pressure and the right spray padding. So let's go in and get that started. As you can see behind me, we have a spray booth that we do all of our plasti dip projects inside. And by doing that, we're able to achieve a very clean plasti dip project and very smooth because we have the right amount of airflow flowing through the spray booth. So let's go inside and let's see what we have waiting for us. Here we have a 2003 G35 black, as you can see. And in this video, we're actually going to show you how to actually properly mask the vehicle. And we're going to start off with the engine bay. Now the vehicle has been thoroughly cleaned, thoroughly washed. We already degreased all the edges around the fenders, around the hood, so that way when you paint it, it has a bond to the surface. What I have here in my hands is a 3M hand masker. Personally, it's one of my favorites because you can actually mask pretty much 90% of the vehicle and do it really quickly for the fact that the tape is already attached to the upper top section, and then you have the tape. So all you have to do is literally get the length that you need, rip it off, and then you can actually put on the surface of the car. Anytime masking headlights, I personally like to actually get 1.5 inch masking tape and really stick the tape in there so that way there's no overspray, because yes, the plasti dip is removable, but anytime there's overspray all the way in the back, you won't really be able to peel all of that overspray. So if you're going from black to white, you're gonna see all of that overspray all the way in the back of the bumper. Always be careful whenever you're masking either a headlight or a grille or any surface, and always make sure that there's a good gap so the plasti dip can actually go all the way inside, and you also, when you remove the tape, it doesn't peel off the plasti dip with the tape. So by doing that, and you're making sure, you can either get a spreader or anything to actually, or even a Visa card, whatever it is, to get all the tape inside and have a good gap so the plasti dip can go all the way in the back of the bumper. Here is a spreader that I personally like to use whenever I'm masking all the edges, because by doing that, I get the tape all the way in the back, there's no overspray, and the plasti dip goes behind the bumper. Most people, if they don't have this available, they can use a debit card or a credit card. Obviously use a card that does no magnet, or anything they might have available to actually just get the nice finish all the way across. Anytime we're doing a plasti dip project, I always like to mask all the way across on the engine bay. So this customer, he wants to go from gloss black to matte black. So he's really not going to be able to see that overspray inside the door jambs and also in the engine bay. But if you are going from white to black and you don't properly cover all the way inside, you're going to see all of that overspray. So by doing that, at least you have a nice edge all the way across, and you're able to get a clean finish anytime you open the hood. There's no overspray all the way inside the motor. So the grill here, the customer actually wants to dip the grill to be all even color, all uneven color. Even though they're already matte black, he just wants to actually make them look better. That's why, as you can see, we didn't mask any of the grills on either side. Here I have the Dip Your Car Prep Spray. And also this one here is the actually wax and grease remover. Because there's so much silicones on the wheel well, anytime I mask it, I personally like to use this one because it tends to actually degrease the surface a lot quicker compared to this one. But anytime before I start prepping the vehicle, once I'm done with the degreaser, I hit the whole car with the Dip Your Car Prep Spray so it can remove any particles or anything left over from the first degreaser. So I already sprayed some degreaser on the paper towel that you can probably get anywhere. And what I'm doing, I'm actually going to clean all the way inside the fender liner, because I like to mask all the edges. So you don't see all kinds of overspray on the wheel wells. Even though this car is going to be matte black, it's really not going to be a huge difference inside. But like I said, if it was white or red or any other color, this will make a huge difference on the quality of the dip. See how much grease and dirt there is on the wheel well. I always want to make sure you fully clean the surface before you apply the Plasti Dip, especially with the silicone. It's not going to allow you to have that bond on the edges. And one of the most important things is to actually have a good bond all the way across on the edges, because anytime you peel, that's where it usually tends to start off. Here I have a paper mobile machine, which is very easy to work with, and it makes the job a lot easier. But like I said, if you don't have this available, you can buy that hand masker at Home Depot, Lowe's, or whichever supply you probably have nearby, which is made by 3M. What I'm doing here is just masking the fender liner all the way across. Like I said from the beginning, it's really not going to show much of a difference from the gloss black to the matte black. But keep in mind, if you're changing the color completely, this is going to make an awesome finish once the car is all completed. Because then you're not going to have all that overspray inside the fender liner, so you keep that nice and clean from the overspray. So it's a simple move, doesn't cost a lot, and biggest thing, quality. You're going to have a great quality. So here what I have is a trim masking tape. It's specially to be used for all these trims. So what I'm doing here, as you can see, I actually just put the trim masking tape all the way behind it, and then I can actually pull the rubber forward, and now what it does, it leaves a gap between the roof and the rubber. So when you're doing the Plasti Dip, actually it goes all the way inside. So you can see how much is actually touching the surface. So by using this tape, you can actually bring that forward and you lift that up to get the Plasti Dip all the way underneath that. Now, pretty much any automotive supply will be able to supply with either a box or the whole kit. So there's many companies that make the same product. You can probably even buy it on eBay. Just make some research. It's called trim masking tape. 335. The wheel well on the quarter panel was completely rotted. So the customer actually wanted us to weld a new piece, refabricate it, and then he wanted to just do the Plasti Dip over it. Now you're saying, oh, you can actually Plasti Dip over primer? Yes, it's actually going to have, because the surface already has been blocked, as you can see, it's going to have a better adhesion compared to the clear coat. Now, I'm not saying you should go ahead and scuff the whole car, because then down the line you're going to have to refinish the whole vehicle, but you could definitely do the Plasti Dip right over the surface and you're not going to see any imperfections. Just make sure you check the product that you're using so you can see the drying time, so you can evaporate before you apply the Plasti Dip. Now I know that this product is already being dried enough, and I can go ahead and apply the Plasti Dip over the whole car, and this is not going to have any issues, and it's going to be nice and clean because we already done all the work on the wheel well. Alright, so this side is pretty much done. As you can see, I trimmed the whole door jamb already, closed the door, and now I taped the whole exterior. What I personally like to do, I mask the whole window or trim around it first, that you don't want to have any Plasti Dip over, and then I leave the edge all the way across for last. That way, once you apply the Plasti Dip on the surface, on the last coat, I like to remove the tape. So that way you have a nice finish on the edge and the Plasti Dip doesn't leave any bumps or even peel while we actually remove the tape. So right here I'm actually going to show you exactly how to mask the trunk on the quarter panel and also the trunk lid without having all kinds of overspray inside, with the same idea of if you were to do this car in white, last thing you want is all kinds of overspraying from the paint all over the surface that doesn't need to be there. So right here I already have the masking paper on the surface, and what I did, because of the hinges and the shocks, I just got a razor blade, made a cut on the piece of paper. That way you can fold one piece to one side and the other piece to the other side. And then once you do that on both sides of the trunk lid, then you can close it and you have something nice and clean.